Riches do not respond to wishes. They respond only to definite plans backed by definite desires through constant persistence. Hello, I'm Carla, psychotherapist and mindset coach, and on this channel, I help you get unstuck and reach your goals by exploring topics that shift your mindset so you can live your highest potential. We are continuing the reading of Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. We are on Chapter 8, Persistence, the 8th step toward riches. Riches do not respond to wishes. They respond only to definite plans backed by definite desires through constant persistence. Willpower plus desire equals faith. Poverty consciousness will voluntarily seize the mind which is not occupied with money consciousness. This is so true. And again, when we talk about riches, it is not only about monetary riches. Yes, he might talk about the money, the physical financial money, but that is just a marker. That is just showing that these philosophies work. It's something tangible, but he means wealth and riches in health, in relationships, in peace of mind. Napoleon Hill's philosophies talk about all areas of life, how to be a good person, how to have a positive mental attitude, how to have peace of mind. How many people do we see that have monetary goals, that reach financial, apexes and heights, and they are miserable? They literally jump out of buildings. But Napoleon Hill's philosophies teaches us to all around be wealthy, to think and grow rich and have the true riches. In the daily study call, the Study and Grow Rich program with the Napoleon Hill Institute, we are studying the Master Key to Riches, which they talk about the happy valley, this internal state that regardless of what's happening on the outside, we are rich within. And only until we are rich within will we have true riches without. We might have money, we might have things, but that is not what makes us rich. It's our thoughts. It's those pure thoughts. So many things. Anyways, I can go on. So he's saying the poverty consciousness will voluntarily seize the mind of somebody which is not occupied with a wealth or money consciousness. So if we don't fill our mind with wealthy, healthy thoughts, it will be seized by poverty consciousness, by fear, lack, doubt, scarcity. So that's why it's so important that we choose. Remember, in life, we can drift around, but we will end up with all the drifters. If we do not have a definite chief aim, if we're not working towards something, if we're not working towards a goal, we don't feel alive. Remember, goals are not to get, goals are to grow. We are constantly growing, whether we like it or not. We might as well grow in the direction that we want. It's like an untrained vine, that just wraps around things and just strangles. It's like, let's lead the vine and grow in the way, us being the vine, that we actually want. Where are we going? So if we do not occupy our mind with healthy, wealthy thoughts, poverty consciousness will voluntarily snatch it up and seize it. That's what all these distractions around us are trying to get our attention, steal our attention, get our eyes on whatever message or propaganda they're trying to, control us with, because that's really what's happening. Anyways, let's continue. Your only insurance against failure is persistence. It is what keeps you from succumbing to temporary defeat and enables you instead to identify the opportunity within the obstacle. Those who cultivate persistence enjoy not only material riches, but also a far greater wealth, the understanding that every failure brings with it the seed of an equivalent advantage. Bob used to say this all the time, Bob Proctor, my mentor, who was a fan of Napoleon, not even just a fan, he dedicated his life to the philosophies of Napoleon Hill. And he taught me, and I continue the legacy by going back to the source material, which is Napoleon Hill. So he is saying that those who cultivate persistence enjoy not only material riches, but they understand the true riches. They understand that within every seed of failure, that there is a seed of an equivalent advantage. So whatever you're going through right now, whatever adversity you're up against, just know that if it's that bad, it has the potential to be that good, but we must harvest that good. No one's going to do it for us. People will feel sorry for us. We can get people on our bandwagon to understand our strife, our struggle. But where does that get us? Brownie points for suffering? And that is a whole nother thing. We truly subscribe unconsciously or consciously to this idea that the more we suffer, the more poverty, the more struggle that we have, the better people we are. We're really holy. We must be really good people if we struggle. And no, because we are convinced that rich people or successful people are greedy, they're selfish, they're not really good people, they're just out for them. But let's think about it. If we truly want to uplift others and have better quality of life in every way, poor people can't help poor people. Sick people can't help sick people. Wealthy people can help poor people. Healthy people can help sick people. And it's with that way in every area of life. So don't be fooled by that thought where people want to keep you down, that the more poor, the more sick, the more lowly you are, you're going to be rewarded. You're not going to be rewarded. You're not. And really pay attention to the people who are telling you this. They usually have their pockets lined with money. Let's just think about that. All right. Every failure brings with it the seed of an equivalent advantage. With this knowledge, temporary defeat holds no power other than that able to be repurposed by the imagination to identify definite plans for achieving one's goal. Persistent results from willpower mixed with intense desire, a combination that produces unshakable faith in the certainty that one will attain their definite chief aim. As you will discover in this chapter, persistence is a state of mind that can be cultivated through habit. Everything we do is habit. 95% of every single thing we do, 95% of every single thing you do and think today is habit. You don't even have to think about it. It's on autopilot. Are they good? Are they bad? Well, look at your results. Then you'll know what is going on in that subconscious mind. And it's through building new habits that we start shifting the results. Destructive habits, let me just say, there is a really great quote. Habit is God's way of making good automatic. I love that quote. Habit is God's way of making good automatic. But let's make sure our habits are good. Destructive habits and the complete neglect of one's desire lead to indifference, which causes people to quit when the going gets tough. Passivity feeds poverty consciousness, or one's tendency to focus on, and thus invite more, limitations, inadequacies, and failure. Persistence requires money consciousness, a term certainly broad enough that it might be replaced with success consciousness. Completing the steps described throughout this book, namely visualizing the attainment of one's desire until you can actually experience with your senses what it feels like to have realized your goals, will strengthen your success consciousness, which will enhance your persistence, which will in turn foster your ability to successfully apply the 13 principles of success. After all, the most important step is putting these principles into action. It requires persistence to do more than simply read them. What's the saying? Shelf help. Shelf help, all the books on our shelves. We consume, we read, we listen. But what are we doing it for? Are we actually applying it? So it really doesn't matter what you know or how much knowledge or how many books you read or all the facts that you know or all the education you have. If you are not getting successful results, meaning whatever success means to you, it doesn't matter what you read because you're clearly not implementing it. I remember Bob used to say all the time, you do not truly understand something until you can clearly and effectively explain it to someone in a way that they understand. There are so many ideas out there, but if we can't even teach it or explain it to someone so that it'll work for them, we clearly don't know it ourselves because we have not implemented. We have not demonstrated it in our own life. Diagnosing a lack of persistence. Face yourself squarely if you really wish to know who you are and what you are capable of doing. This is like in the 12 steps when we are trying to get rid of an addiction. It's that step 4. The fearless moral inventory. When our life is not working and we are powerless and our life is just unmanageable in whatever way, here meaning just internally, we're not at peace or life is falling apart on the outside, we have to face ourselves squarely if we really wish to know who we are. If we want to change, we have to look ourselves in the mirror and not lie to ourselves. We have to be honest and really understand what we're capable of. Again, knowing ourselves. Know thyself and you shall know the universe and all the gods. Our only job really in life, and it's not even a job, but it behooves us to learn about ourselves, to study ourselves, not anybody else, not what everybody else is doing, not trying to fix the problems, not trying to fix the world, because you will never do that. You can only fix yourself. And by doing that, it can be an influence and an example to help others in the world. But if someone does not want to be helped, you cannot help them. You can lead a horse to water, but you cannot force him to drink it. So focus on ourselves, study ourselves. With a lack of persistence, the symptoms used to diagnose it are often synonymous with its causes. In general, the tendency to give up easily stems from a poorly defined purpose and or a vague plan to attain it. In fact, if you asked 100 people what they want most in life, only about 2 would be able to provide a quick, concrete statement of purpose. What if somebody walked up to you today and asked, what is your definite chief aim? What goal are you working towards? What do you got going on? What do you got cooking in that flame, that internal furnace of your heart? What are you, if you were a steamship, as my favorite metaphor, ships on the ocean, what coals, what are you putting into that furnace to keep the steam engine going and going towards your goals? Would you be able to tell? Or would you be the 98 out of 100 people? Or would you be one of the 2? If you were into Napoleon Hill, I bet you're one of the 2. All right, but let's just get specific on that purpose and make sure you write it down. This is a goal card from the Napoleon Hill Institute, or definite chief aim, our purpose. This is where we write our goal, and I have mine written here and I read it every day. So this is a really great thing to have. Or you can just write it on a 3x5 card, tape it around, put it on your phone, read it every day, but just know what your goal is. All right. In fact, if you asked 100 people what they want most in life, only about 2 would be able to provide a quick and concrete statement of purpose. Most people trudge through life bored and dissatisfied, easily discouraged by setbacks, and they have no idea why. They also struggle to understand why it is so difficult to achieve the few vague goals they have. That is why it is so important to have a philosophy, any philosophy, whatever it is. It might be Napoleon Hill, it might not be, throw it out if it's not. But you must have a philosophy if you want to succeed or achieve goals. Our mind, our ego mind, that is filled with all the programming that we have, unless you were raised by some like enlightened masters, we are not taught how to achieve goals, how to plan them, how to go after them, or how to just know how to be a good person while doing it and achieve it with peace. And that's why Napoleon Hill was the king of personal development, meaning he took from his teachers, but he was the only person that consolidated all of it into one philosophy that everyone can understand. Most people trudge through life bored and dissatisfied, easily discouraged by setbacks, and they have no idea why. They also struggle to understand why it is so difficult to achieve the few vague goals they have. That was me. And that can still be me if I stop studying. It really is. It's like, I am a student and I've dedicated my life to this, but I fall off the wagon every now and then. But at least I know where to come back to. All of these qualities result from passivity, the failure to identify their definite chief aim, to nurture their desire to the point of obsession, and finally to develop practical plans for its realization. All of these qualities result from passivity, being passive in our lives. Are you passive in your life? Are you letting life pass you by? Do you feel like life is passing you by? We do really have to step up and be extra, so to speak. We have to get obsessed. Tim Grover talks a lot about this. Kobe Bryant was big on this. There was a book called The Magnificent Obsession. To be magnificently obsessed, dedicate your life to something where people will think you're crazy. If people do not think you're crazy, you're not dreaming big enough. People will say, wow, that's a lot. Isn't that kind of a lot? You need to calm down. Good. I hope people say that about me, because what am I supposed to be, passive and relaxed and be like, just sitting by, not really caring what I'm doing with my life? Other people can do that. I don't want to. And if you're watching this and you're still listening right now, you are that person too. You have something bigger in you that you want to achieve, that you want to go after. So this is a perfect philosophy for you. If this is your first exposure to Napoleon Hill, I encourage you to dive into it. It is life-changing. Beyond this, Hill provides 16 characteristics that both signify and contribute to a lack of persistence. Identify which ones describe you, and you will be on the road to removing the obstacles between you and success. So let's read these together and let's be honest with ourselves. Can we relate? Do these describe us? Let's go through them. Number 1, the inability to identify clearly one's definite chief aim. We've talked about this a million times. Have you identified your definite chief aim? If you haven't, let's be honest. Sit down, push pause, and write it down. Number 2, procrastination. Do you procrastinate? I do. Number 3, apathy toward acquiring specialized knowledge. Not really caring to go that extra mile, to sign up for that online course, to invest in that training, to get into the coaching program, to hire a coach, to get into a community. There's a really great opportunity. It's on my Linktree now. And if you know Russell Brunson, he is the ClickFunnels king. He is an entrepreneur. He's amazing, but Napoleon Hill is his mentor. Napoleon Hill, he credits Napoleon Hill for getting him all the success in his life. And he just started this Secrets to Success Society. It is a monthly subscription. It's like $97 a month or something, and you can try it free. And you get like this free gift. He calls it the most amazing gift ever or something like that. But all the links are in my profile if you are interested in that, to get your free gift and then do this trial of this amazing monthly subscription program that's only like $97 a month. Number 4, indecisiveness. Are you a decisive person? Number 5, the tendency to respond to obstacles with excuses instead of problem solving. Do you make excuses? 6, smug complacency or unwarranted satisfaction with one's mediocrity. Wow, smug complacency or unwarranted satisfaction with one's mediocrity. I can relate to this so embarrassingly. I think in my 20s, I was bartending, And whenever anybody asked me like, oh, what are you doing with your life? What are you this? Like I had this smug complacency and satisfaction with where I was. Like I defended it. When really I was just complacent. I was making really good money, but I was settling. And thank God I got into this material and I changed it. But that's so true. This smug complacency, unwarranted satisfaction with our mediocre state, settling for less than we're truly capable of. Number 7, indifference, resulting in settling rather than fighting for what one really wants. Wow, indifference is like a disease. It's like a cold that some people never recover from. Being indifferent to life, to ourselves, we just get beat down so much that we settle rather than fighting for what we really want. Number 8, defaulting to the blame game when one makes a mistake. Do you take full responsibility for every single thing in your life? Do you take accountability for all the results you're getting? Yes, other people can affect us, but to the degree and the level that we take full responsibility for whatever results are in our life, we are in control. But if we abdicate that control, if we say, well, if she didn't do that, if he didn't do that, well, the government this, that, my boss, you're powerless. You're a victim. You're playing a victim. And there will be people who agree with you. On a jury of 12, you would be a victim. But where does that get you? I was an unconscious victim for years. Number 9, weak desire. How strong is your desire on a scale of 1 to 10? How strong is that flame, that fire inside of you? Is it weak? How can you strengthen your desire for what you're going after, your definite chief aim? Number 10, the tendency to quit willingly at the first sign of defeat. Keep going, persistence. Number 11, lack of organized plans. Sit down and make a plan, even if you're not ready. Just even for today. What can you do today to get you closer to your goal? Number 12, failure to launch or the habit of not acting on one's ideas. Act immediately on whatever inspired thought comes to you when it comes to your goal. Calling a person, emailing a person, checking out a new website, whatever, signing up for a new newsletter, a new class, going to a free workshop. Number 13, spending time hoping and wishing instead of actively willing. People do this all the time. Spending time hoping and wishing instead of actively willing. I mean, hell, that was me. That's why it is so important, especially Napoleon Hill's philosophy, to not only think, but act immediately. It's the both thinking and acting, being and doing. It's that dance. We can't do one without another. They literally will not work. We can't just go and take action and never be in a state, because we're just going to crash and burn if we do not have the right internal mental attitude. And we can't just perfect our mental attitude and study and just sit there and meditate and do affirmations without taking action. We must have both. Number 14, lack of ambition. Number 15, focusing on shortcuts to material success. There are no shortcuts, and everybody out there is trying to get you into a shortcut. This is a lifelong journey. It's a marathon. It is not a sprint. Just dedicate yourself right now. Change your perception. If you are not where you want to be, say, I don't care how long it's going to take. I will not stop. I will persist. Don't say, I want this in 2 months. If I'm not getting it in 2 months, what's the point? It's like, that's the wrong attitude. This is a lifelong journey of your growth. Just decide right now that you're going to dedicate your entire life to becoming successful. No other option. There's no expiration date. You will always grow until the wheels fall off. Number 16, fear of criticism. Fear of criticism. Fear of what other people will think about you. That's so huge for a lot of people. Are you holding back posting things? Do you not want to launch your business because you're afraid of what other people will think? Are you afraid of switching careers out of fear of criticism? Like, oh God, you went to school, you got all that job. What about all the money you put into that business? You're switching another one? Wow. Giving up so soon? This final trait, discussed in detail in chapter 14, can be particularly debilitating, the fear of criticism, resulting in extinguishing ideas before they can be backed by definite plans. So you have this great idea and you're afraid, oh my God, but what are people going to think of me? I'm too afraid. Puts out that flame. You never take the action. You never even make plans because you killed the idea before it was even born. Many people let the fear of what others think, whether it's friends, family, colleagues, or the general public, stand in the way of taking action on their dreams. Specifically, it can lead to the following dead ends: staying in a toxic relationship, failing to return to school later in life to complete one's education, diminishing one's happiness and chances for success in the name of duty, failure to take chances in business. Wow, many people let the fear of what others will think, whether they're friends, family, colleagues, or public, to stand in the way of taking action on their dreams. By listening to family and friends, it leads to those 4 things: staying in a toxic relationship, failing to return to school later in life to complete one's education, diminishing one's happiness and chances for success in the name of duty, failure to take chances in business. Oh my goodness. I see this all the time. It was in my life too. All right. He moves on to say how to cultivate persistence. Fear, the worst of all enemies, can be effectively cured by forcing repetition of acts. As a state of mind, persistence is not a mysterious, nebulous quality. Rather, it results from definite causes, namely definiteness of purpose, desire, self-reliance, definiteness of plans, accurate knowledge, cooperation, willpower, and habit. That's why these principles are so important. Like, look, we can go through life just winging it or listening to our friends and family and the other drifters in our life. Or we can dedicate our life to a philosophy that has been put so brilliantly together by Napoleon Hill. I was just thinking of that today. Like, what is my resistance when I don't want to study? What is my resistance to it? It's like, because I'm comfortable not doing it. There is a great, God, who wrote it? It's the common denominator of success. I want to say something Gray, the gentleman's name who wrote that. Bob always used to have us read that. And it's like, successful people are just the people that do the things that failures don't want to do. That's all. And so following through on these principles is truly the only difference that stands between people who do and the people who don't. Some people are born with a natural predisposition toward persistence, but regardless of your natural tendencies, you can cultivate this quality through the following means. 1, a definite purpose backed by burning desire for its fulfillment. 2, a definite plan expressed in continuous action. 3, a mind strengthened against negative and destructive influences. See chapter 14. Number 4, a mastermind group that encourages follow through. Honestly, if we just paid attention to these 4 things, what Napoleon Hill is telling us is, if you weren't born with endless persistence and the drive to do things, you can cultivate it. And it's through these 4 steps. 1, if we just find a definite purpose that really feels good, if we have a burning desire to do it, find a purpose that ignites our engine. That's all we need to do. Because if we have that, it'll lead to a definite plan that we can express through action, because we'll want to take action on any plan that comes up. It won't matter because we'll have so much fuel in us that we won't know where to put it. We'll just take action. But Napoleon Hill saying that, create that plan. And it's important to strengthen and block our mind, put our blinders up against any negative or destructive influences. What are you feeding yourself? What are you consuming? I just had a really big kind of aha moment with myself that was coming for a long time of like, where do I consume content? This is my 3-year anniversary being on social media. I never had social media before, but I always knew I had it in me, a burning desire to create content, to just share all the stuff that I'm learning. I truly do have that burning desire. So I took action. But with that, I signed up to all the social media platforms, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, but YouTube is my jam. I consume and I get the most value out of YouTube, and I pour back into YouTube. So I consume and I produce on YouTube, but I also cut up some of these videos and I put them on platforms such as Instagram and TikTok, but I don't consume on things like Instagram or Facebook or TikTok. And I felt like I had to, like, it was kind of like, well, if you follow me, I'll follow you type of thing. And I just realized like I get nothing out of it. Some people do. Some people love to follow their friends and engage, and that's their burning desire, those platforms, but it's not mine. So what I did this weekend was I unfollowed everybody. Not for any other reason of I don't consume there. So I'm not going to put myself in a position where I feel like I have to. It's like cutting out the distractions. And I always remember, I never felt the need to be on those. And other people, family and friends, would talk me into it. Like, Carla, if you want a business, if you want to really promote yourself, you have to be on these things. No, I don't. And so I feel so free. That's what taking action on our inspirations, even when it was scary, I felt really scared. Like, oh my God, everyone's going to unfollow me. No one's going to like me. They're going to think I'm a bitch or whatever. Just do it. Oh, well, I had to follow my intuition, and I'm so proud I did. All right, so strengthening our mind, cutting out all of the distractions, and then surrounding yourself, getting a mastermind group, people who encourage you, like-minded people. That is the number one thing that if anybody ever asks me, like, what's the secret to success? Get a goal and surround yourself with like-minded people who are positive and who will cheer you on. Those two things, which are two of the four here, but these other two are really important. So if nothing else, follow these four things. Attend also to the instructions in Chapter 2 on developing self-confidence. For persistence both produces and results from taking voluntary actions required. Attend also to the instructions in Chapter 2 on developing self-confidence. For persistence both produces and results from taking voluntary actions requiring courage, leading to faith. Persistence is the great equalizer. It requires no inborn quality, greatness of means, or other reward given to only a lucky few. Thomas Edison and Henry Ford distinguished themselves through persistence. They had no other special quality that catapulted them to such heights of success. In today's world, persistence is what separates the thought leaders and influencers with great followings from those who remain in obscurity. Influence in any form requires three major qualities: definiteness of purpose, focused effort, and persistence. Let's read those again. Influence in any form requires three major qualities: definiteness of purpose, focused effort, and persistence. That's what I'm doing here. I was so influenced and so moved by other influencers on YouTube, sharing their knowledge, sharing their books, sharing their insights. They were thought leaders to me, and I still follow them. And I had such a drive to do the same. So me wanting to be of any influence, hopefully positively to anybody, I have to have definiteness of purpose, which I do, to share my message, to share Napoleon Hill's principles and everybody else's that are kind of under that umbrella that came from him. Focused effort, I'm focused, cutting out all of the distractions, which I just, an example, cutting off all my social media following. And persistence, I am persistent. I sit here and I do these videos every day, regardless of who follows or who likes. I'm going to do it regardless. I'm going to be persistent. This is so amazing. All right, and he ends with an action item: the habit of persistence. If you cannot clearly state in one sentence your definite major purpose and your plans for obtaining it, now is the time to create your master plan summary. Draft and revise a statement that expresses your desire and how and when you will achieve it until it is as concise and compelling as possible. Then rehearse it until it is energized by the positive emotions, especially faith, love, and sex, and is persuasive to others, most importantly to yourself. Identify one task or behavior that you struggle to perform related to your definite chief aim. Use the list of definite causes of persistence in this chapter to determine which of these contributors to stickability are lacking. Do you lack definiteness of purpose with regard to this behavior? Desire? Confidence in your abilities to perform or maintain it? Definite plans for completing it? After assessing your current state, create definite answers for each of these categories that will support your mental game in persevering in this action. Force yourself to engage in this task and behavior at specific times this week. Plan them in your calendar. I always say that if it ain't in my calendar, it ain't happening. This is my calendar. I don't know if you could see. Everything is marked and color coded. Every single day. Every single day, things are color coded and marked. That's how structured and specific. If anybody sees it like, wow, Carla, that's a lot. It's like, yeah, it is, because I'm doing a lot and it feels good. All right, force yourself to engage in this task and behavior at specific times this week. Plan them in your calendar. Read through your list of positively framed causes daily and repeat this process until your forced action becomes habit. And so this is where, for me, it got a little sticky. Like, am I forcing it? Am I like running myself into the ground, like that whole grind culture, like not listening to my intuition or taking like inspired action? When we already have a habit, we're in our comfort zone. And if those habits are not getting results that we like, yes, we must get uncomfortable and force ourselves to like go to the gym or force ourselves to do the reading. There's never going to be a time where we're like, oh, I just want to wait till it feels easy and I feel inspired to go to the gym. If that is not already your habit, you won't feel it. You will have to force it. It's not a permanent forcing. It's forcing the wheel to turn the other way of this habit to start doing something new. Then when you establish that habit, you could take your hands off the wheel and it's effortless. But until we get it to that point, there is going to be some discomfort, and that's okay. Of course, listen to your body. If you feel sick, if you truly need to rest, do it. This is not like hurting yourself, or you know what I mean. It's about getting uncomfortable. And a lot of people don't like, myself included. I don't like to be uncomfortable, but that's why things don't change. Wow, I love that. I love persistence. I love Napoleon Hill. I love his philosophy. So I hope you enjoyed that. That was chapter 8, persistence. We will continue with chapter 9, the power of the mastermind, the ninth step toward riches next time. Thank you so much for your support. Leave any comments. Let me know how you feel about all of this. Reach out, email me, check out all of my offerings below. Thank you for spending your time with me. I'll see you next time.